All right, welcome back to another football video. I had a little sinus surgery, so I may not sound great the whole time, but I'm going to try to get through this because I've released a new sort of updated demo of the quick play football game that I've been working on, still yet to be named, and hopefully those of you who try the game can help me come up with a good name for that. But let me just walk through the cards and maybe just a small sample of gameplay, but not a full game this time. What I've done is I've gone and I've made everything based again off of two D10 dice. Originally it was D10s, then I switched over to two D6s and was playing that for a while. And through user feedback and testing, have switched it back over to the D10s, and hopefully this makes it a stronger game. We didn't have things like the ability to have a 1 yard gain or a -1 because we were using the D6s. So um, hopefully this makes it a little stronger game. And really, this is the meat and potatoes over here. This is just a score sheet that I've created before. So here's Tampa and New York. I also have Tennessee and Cincinnati in the demo that you can try. You can see here that there's an offense and defensive rating. So every roll begins, every single roll, every play begins with what's called the advantage roll. So to see which team has the advantage and which team sort of uh, controls the play. Now it's if the teams are even, it's a 50-50 roll. If the teams are not even, then it's not a 50-50 roll. So there is some advantage built in, and this is where the advantage gets built in here to the advantage roll. Also, there are these momentum cards, which you can see here, that give you a +1 on the advantage roll. And those happen when you hit a big play. But when you start the game, the home team starts off with a +1 advantage on the advantage roll. So whether they're on offense or defense, they get a +1 on the advantage roll. So if they roll a 4, it's really a roll of a 5. And then for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when they're on offense, they get an automatic +1 regardless. If they were the home team, they would get +1/+1. So they would have a +2 advantage. And you can see that Tampa Bay, obviously a better team in 2021 than New York. So they were in the top 10 in the league in both offense and defense. And so they're going to get an advantage roll. I'm sorry, a +1 on the advantage. Now here, that advantage is negated, right? So New York has a +1. Tampa Bay has a +1. So as long as New York keeps their momentum, they have an even Steven 50-50 chance on every play. So that's sort of the advantage is supposed to help weaker teams. It's also supposed to push the better teams past, maybe some of the some of the fluky, it's just a roll of the dice. It has to be a little bit more than that. So the advantage roll, really important part of every single play. We also have some values here. This is the punt yardage, average punt yards for the Bucks, average punt return yards, average kickoff yards, average kick return yards, the team field goal percentage on all field goals, and then the extra point percentage for the team as well. Now, these are values that when you're going through the game, you're going to be using them, especially for the return values. For all other things, you're rolling when the team has the advantage. They roll the D10s, two D10s, and add the two D10s together. That's the yardage of the play. If the defense, and so that's for the offense, if the defense were to get the advantage and they roll their two D10s, if the numbers are not a double, then it's basically like an incomplete pass, no yards gain, go to the next down. However, if either the offense or the defense rolls a double, one of these doubles specifically, and that's another thing that's changed, is there used to be, I believe, there were 12 chances. Now there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the offense, 2, 4, 6 for the defense. So I've cut the number of big play chances in half, basically. And so there are fewer of these sort of game-changing plays, although they are the exact same ones. So you can have a penalty on the offense or defense. If that's the case, then you would go and roll against the penalty chart. So if it was a penalty on the offense, you would roll against the offensive side, and on the defense, you roll against the defensive side. Obviously, with a 1 to 10, you're just rolling 1d10 to figure out what the penalty was. Mark off the penalty and either continue to the next down or go replay the down with the penalty marked off. An explosive play means that you roll 2d10s, and instead of adding the 2d10 roll numbers, you combine them. So a 3 and a 5, instead of becoming an 8, becomes a 35. So an explosive play can be a huge play, obviously, in the game. And these are those plays that just get busted off for 72 yards, that kind of thing. So those are possible. They're game-changing type plays and quick strike type opportunities. RAC is run after contact. So let's say you roll the 55, roll 1d10. Whatever that number is, you add it to the 5 and 5, which is a 10. That's your initial roll that you add, right? So a 5 and 5 is a 10, and then you and then you add the 1d10 to that. So if it's 10 plus 4, then that's a 14-yard run. On a long run, what you would do is you would take this and roll 2d10s. So instead of 1, you roll 2d10s, add those together, and then add to the 7, 7. So a 14 plus, let's say, an 8, that would be a 22-yard run. And then for a deep pass, same as a long run. So you take the 9, 9, that's an 18 already. You roll 2d10s, add those together, and you add it to the 18, and that's a deep pass. And then on a 100, that's an automatic TD wherever you are on the field. For the defense, you can have a tackle for a loss, a sack, a fumble recovery, or a pick, an interception. For the interception, you would roll 2d10s, add those together, and then it's like the ball's thrown down the field, right? So if you start here at the 46, and let's say the 2d10s, you roll them, and it's an 11. So you would go 10, 11 yards down the field. So the 43 would be the new line of scrimmage, and that's where the team takes over. So you're rolling to see how far down the field the ball was when it got intercepted. For a fumble recovery, that happens right at the line of scrimmage, just to make that easy. You could also do the same thing. You could roll a D10 and figure out how far down the field or how far behind the line of scrimmage or whatever you want to do with that. For a sack and a tackle for loss, those are 1d10, and that tells you how many yards were lost on the play. So anywhere from 1 to 10 yards were lost on the play. So those are the basics. Whenever you do hit on a big play, what you want to do is you want to draw a momentum card. And let's say it was Tampa Bay that rolled the big play on their yardage. Then that would automatically, in this situation, take away the home field advantage from New York, and it would give Tampa Bay now the advantage. And what I've been doing with the advantage cards is on offense, the team with the advantage rolls 2d10s and adds them together, and that's their yardage for the play. The team on the offense without the advantage only gets to roll 1d10, and then that's their yardage. So again, maybe a little bit too harsh. I'm not sure. That's why we're play testing, right? To see, do we need both teams? Is it enough advantage just to have it on the advantage roll? Or should there be a double advantage where you also get an opportunity to have double the yards as the other team? So what it does allow for are pretty big swings in the game, which was kind of exciting in the last game that I played. You can see here that there are, let's put another one. I have a few of these, and not all the momentum cards are the same. And, okay. So here are the three types. So you obviously have the home field advantage one, which is this one here. So just by being the home field team, you get an advantage of +1. You can also have an advantage that goes until the end of the quarter, to the end of the half, or to the end of the current drive. So you pull that, and for that drive, they get to have a +1 advantage. For this one, when the drive is over, you would remove that momentum card. For this one, when the half is over, if the other team has not already made a big play, then when the half is over, you take it away, and the same for a quarter. For the home field advantage, that will stay as long as there has not been a big play by the visiting team. This home field advantage will stay. But as soon as there's a big play, take away the advantage. The other team gets the advantage, and so they play this out. If there's a big play by this team before the quarter, then that negates whatever it says on the card. You take it away, and now they have the advantage. And so they would follow whatever is on the card itself. So there can be some big swings in the game. Football is a game of emotion. Football is a game of large swings, typically, and trying to get that momentum onto your side. And when a team that shouldn't win beats a team that does, it's often because of big plays, right? So that's I think we all know that. I think we all see the statistics that big plays win games, and so this is sort of a big play game. And you are going to have, your lull moments and things like that, but for the most part, the teams that are going to win these games are the ones making the big plays. They're making explosive plays. They're making double-digit runs and passes and things like that. So I think that it provides a fairly realistic view of the game, and it also happens very quickly. So let me run through just a sample play. I guess let me get something to just write down what happens here, just so I can keep track of it a little bit. But let's say that we start out, New York gets the ball. They're the home team, and they receive. Get my D10s here. Can we see that? Let's get a little set up. All right, so I have my D10s here, and I'm just rolling them. The red is what I typically use for the home team. The black I usually use for the away team on kickoffs. Now I will switch that up on offense and use the red for the offense and black for the defense. That just helps me remember. I have a quick little, I know it says downs here. I'll just use those for the quarters. And then I have my game chart here. Successful a win by the offense and a yardage roll is 30 seconds off the clock. And a win by the defense is like an incomplete pass. So that's 15 seconds off the clock. I have a little bit of something to help me here as well. I do run a 2-minute offense sort of thing. When you get under 2 minutes, every play is 30 seconds if necessary. If not, then I run it like regular if they're just trying to run the clock out. So that would be something that each player could call out and decide for themselves. So let's say New York's going to get the ball. And because they have the home field advantage here, they'll have a +1 on the roll. But for the kickoff, this is how kickoffs work. Remember, kickoffs are going to be using these numbers here. So this is Tampa Bay kicking off to New York. So we're going to be looking at their kickoff number. And first we roll an advantage roll. And these advantages here and this advantage here does not count on kicks. So I don't do that for punts, only for offensive plays. So punts, kickoffs, there's no advantage. It's just a straight up 50-50 roll to see who gets the advantage. Home team in red, away team in black. So the advantage goes to New York. And so what we're going to do is we're going to roll again. And we have a 3 here. So you take that 3 and you subtract it because it's to the advantage of New York. We have a shorter kickoff, so we subtract it. So that's a 61-yard kick I believe that puts it down to the 4. This over here is just to help me keep track of the yardage. I don't actually keep track of the yardage over there. I write it down. So it's a kickoff down to the 4-yard line, because this, instead of being a 64-yard kickoff, is a 61-yard kickoff. So yeah, it should be at the 4. And so now we need to move over to the kick return. So this is the return team. Their average return yards is 20, but let's see who has the advantage on the return. So this time it's going to be the defense, or the visiting team, with the advantage over the offense. So we roll again. That's a 1. And so we subtract 1 from the kick return because it should be to the advantage of this team. So just try to think of it, in a way that makes sense as far as advantage and disadvantage, right? And that'll help you to remember. It's clearly laid out in the book, the guidebook, so you can download the game guide, and it talks through these things as well. I've updated that. So you take 1, you subtract the 1 from their kick return, and then that becomes a 19. So a 19 is the kickoff return, 10, 20 minus 1, and so it's out to the 23. So it'd be 1st and 10 from the 23 for New York. So that's how kickoffs work. It's going to get you to a good place. For most of these, there is an opportunity for a large kickoff return that is also sort of laid out in the book as well. Okay, New York on offense. And like I said, I use the red for offense, black for defense. New York has a +1 on their offense. Tampa has a +1 on defense. So this is just a straight up roll. Whatever it says on the dice is what we're going to go with. So the advantage goes to the offense. And because they have the actual advantage, we're going to combine these numbers. So that's going to be an 8-yard gain. So it'll be 2nd and 2 from the 31. Again, I'm not moving this. It's just for reference. Here the defense wins, an 8 to a 4. And because it's not a double, then that is like a stop on 3rd down, or on 2nd down. So it brings up 3rd down and 2 for New York. Here's another win for the offense. And so that's going to be a 12-yard gain. And that brings up 1st and 10 from the 43. So New York is moving the ball here. Another win for the Giants. 11-yard gain on 1st down. Takes it out to the Tampa Bay 46. So it takes out to the Tampa 46. And I haven't been keeping track of anything. So that's 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. So that's where we are at the clock. Another win for New York, and 8-yard gain. Brings up 2nd down and 2 from the 38. Takes 30 seconds off. Another win for New York, and a 9-yard gain. Brings up 1st and 10 from the 27. So you can, or from the 29, sorry. So you can see that the game moves pretty quickly. There's a win from the defense. 58 is going to be a defensive stop. So 2nd down and 10 from the 29, from the Tampa 29. Another win for the offense, and 10-yard gain. Brings up 1st and 10 from the 19. This time the defense wins, and that's going to be a stop. So it brings up 2nd and 10 from the 19-yard line. Another win for New York, and 10 yards on the, actually it's a 55. So this is going to be a good example of a big play. So they make a big play. Nothing's going to happen here because they already have the advantage, but they do get the run after contact. So we have a 10, and then we're going to roll 1d10, and then we're going to add that to our 10. So that's a 10 plus an 8 is an 18-yard play, and that takes the ball down to the 1 yard line. So first and goal. So big play there, as I suppose Barkley, uh, Saquon Barkley, just goes through a tackler and takes it down to the 1 yard line. So first and goal for New York, and this is going to be advantage to the defense, and that's going to be a stop at the goal line. So second and goal at the 1. Let's see if actually here. Let's see if Tampa Bay has a goal line stopping them. Okay, so a 6 and a 6. A tie goes to the offense. So you can make the tie go to the defense if you want, if you like more defensive play. I like a little offensive play, and so that tie is going to go to the offense. And that's going to be an 8-yard run or 8-yard gain, and that's going to be a TD. Now, when you're inside the goal line like this, they're at the 1 yard line, so they have 1 yard to go plus 10 for the end zone, so that's 11 total yards. If this roll was a 12, 13, 14, 15, then that's not inside of the 11 yards that the team has available from where they are, and so I count that as an incomplete pass. So that's it's not a touchdown if the yardage goes past how much they have left between what's left to go to goal plus the 10 yards for the touchdown. So it has to sort of hit inside that zone to be a touchdown. Makes it a little bit more challenging and doesn't come into play here. But so that would be a 1 yard touchdown. Now they're going to kick the extra point. The extra point is 100%. There's no real need to do that. They never missed one. So then that's a 7-0 lead for New York. So a good first drive, really good first drive. As they go down the field, I don't think I took off anything for the run. And so a really good first drive for New York. The home field advantage is a super helpful tool, especially for these weaker teams. But once the advantage goes over to the stronger teams, you really see how that gets kind of dealt with. So now the kickoff is to New York, and let's see who gets the advantage. Home team, away team. Home team gets the advantage. That's going to be New York. So instead of subtracting from the kickoff like we did last time, we're going to take the 9 and we're going to add that to the kickoff. So that becomes not a 59, but a 68. 68, of course, is going to put them into the end zone. So that's going to be a touchback. Tampa Bay can decide, do they want to bring the ball out? But that's going to go 3 yards deep into the end zone. Their return is only 19. They're better off, I'm sure, just kneeling it and coming out. And so it's going to be first and 10. I believe it's from the 25 these days that they start, right? So that would be first down for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay on offense. I'll take 15 seconds off of that. So I have it clearly out here. Incomplete passes, punts, kickoffs, field goals. Not extra points, but field goals. And then up here, interceptions also take off 30 seconds. So just a little cheat sheet for me to remember. So Tampa Bay with the ball, they have a +1 on offense. New York has a +1 advantage while they're on the defense. So it's even on this roll. Offense and defense, that's how I usually do red and black. So offense is Tampa Bay. They have the advantage. And because they don't have the actual momentum, they only get to read one die. So that's going to be a 2nd and 2 at the 33 for Tampa Bay. This goes straight up to the defense, and that's going to be a defensive stop. So 3rd down and 2 at the 33. 4 to a 2, so offense wins. Gain of 6 as they pick up the first down. It's 1st and 10 at the 39. Tampa Bay with the ball, 1st and 10, and that's the defense to the advantage. It brings up 2nd down and 10 at the 39-yard line. Tampa with the advantage, and that's a 6-yard gain. So that's going to bring up a 3rd and 4 for Brady and company as they take it out to the 45-yard line, their own 45. Big roll here as the defense comes up with a stop, and that's going to bring up 4th down and 4 at the 45-yard line. So Tampa's going to punt, And we're going to look at our punt number here is 42. So let's see who has the advantage first. This is Tampa. This is New York. So Tampa Bay has the advantage. And so when we roll again, what we're going to do is we're going to add this number to the punt number. So it's like they get a longer punt. That is to their advantage. So 44 yards is the punt. And we started at the 45, right? So 10, 20, 30, 40, and 4. So that's down to the 14-yard line. Now let's look at the punt return. We have a 7-yard average over here for New York. And so let's see who has the advantage on the punt return. This is Tampa, New York. It was 6 and 7, so it goes to it goes to New York. So they rolled a 6, and that 6 is going to be to their advantage. So that's going to add to their punt return. So 6 plus 7 is 13, which means we get a 13-yard return. So 10, 11, 12, 13. So out to the 27-yard line, and that would be 1st and 10 at the 27. Play goes back here, and we start all over. So that's a sample of gameplay for punt returns, kicks. We didn't walk through these team attributes, but the clutch rating is for teams that are in the top 10 in the league in game-winning drives. So inside the last 5 minutes, if they're down a score, then they get an extra +1 in those last 5 minutes on the advantage roll. Inside of the red zone, so inside the 20, the opponent's 20-yard line to the goal line, they get an extra +1. And that's with all these other extra +1s that are available. So you can see how the advantages can really tilt toward these teams. And that's kind of how it feels in real life. You're like, can anybody beat Tom Brady in the last 5 minutes? And so it's very rare. It could happen. It's happened that he's beat so many teams. And so to sort of replicate that clutchness, we're trying to do that with clutch. And to replicate, this is for teams that are in the top 10 in the NFL in third down conversion or red zone percentage, red zone conversions. So red zone touchdowns to red zone attempts. And then there's a third down here, which is for defense, not for offense. So on third down, which I didn't play that in, which I don't know if it would have affected anything, but on third down, the defense gets an extra +1 on the defensive side. So they get +1, right? And then there is another one. The other one is time of possession. And you see that with Tennessee. Tennessee is in the top 10 in average time per drive in the NFL in 2021. So instead of taking off 2 for a successful play, you take off 3. Instead of taking off 1 for a defensive play, you take off 2. So sort of simulating those teams that go down the field, grinding, running, they're taking more time off the clock. So that's a time of possession attribute for the team. These are sometimes hard to remember. You got to kind of stay focused on them, but if you forget them, it's probably not a huge deal. But it's just a little wrinkle that you can add to the game, especially if the teams are pretty even, or if one team is kind of an underdog, but they're really good on third downs. It can really even out the game because on that advantage roll, if they come out even and the defensive team has a +1 on third down, that obviously gives them the advantage with an opportunity to stop or to make a big play. So those are like they're little small tweaks to the game that don't seem particularly important, but because there's such a razor thin edge between some of these teams, especially in the middle, it's the kind of thing that can tilt the game one way or the other. So hopefully that's the feeling that you get whenever you're playing the game. You can see the speed with which we can move down the field. When you start to see big chunk plays, don't worry. Oftentimes the defense will come back and make a few plays. But then sometimes the offense just steamrolls them down the field, and that actually does happen. Sometimes you get 3-4 punts in a row from the same team, then they bust out. So to me, it really does feel like a football game, which is kind of like grind, pow, grind, pow. That's sort of the feel of football most of the time. And so hopefully that explains it well enough. Go out and try it. I'll put the link in the description of this video, and you can go and try the demo yourself. Again, you'll get 4 teams here. You'll get the big plays and the penalties. You'll get the game guide. I have the momentum cards, so all these are where you can cut them out. Includes the home field advantage card, and I also have a different timer. It's not this one. It's a football field with a timer on it, and I think that's it. It's not a great one, so if you have a better field and timer situation, just go ahead and use it. This is abstracted from Advanced Stats Football. I'm just using that. I think that's it. I don't think I have anything else on that front, but I really would like to get this game out. The next evolution is to take on each play and be able to decide, okay, who was the receiver on the play? Was it a rush or a pass? On a tackle for loss, who made the tackle? That kind of stuff. Or on a sack, who made the sack? So sort of busting out individual players and having an opportunity. It'll probably be similar to what I did with up-tempo basketball, where you roll to find the player. It's kind of a player finder situation based off of how many actual sacks that player had. So Shaq Barrett has the best opportunity for Tampa Bay, for instance, to be the one with the sack. He has the most sacks on the team. So that sort of thing. And once I get that worked out, I'll add that into the cards, and it'll probably be Tampa Bay with their players, New York with their players, and be kind of a similar setup to what I have uh, with the basketball game, which I don't have right around me, but it'll be similar to that setup where you'll have sort of a team card on one side and then players on the right side. That's at least the plan going forward. If you have any questions or comments about the game, please leave them in the comments section below. I'll definitely get back to them as quickly as I can. If you want to hit me up on the forums or I've been posting a lot of this to the Sports Simulations Facebook group, Sports Simulations and Replays, and seems to be a lot of interest there in the game, so that's where I've been posting those things. And I think that's it. All right. That's all for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again.